We like to do some gardening here on our back patio. We have some pots here. We put some tomatoes in here and some flowers in here. Got a bunch of little tomatoes over here. So luckily I got the ZEEGO watering timer system sent to me to make a video about. You see it over here on the tomato there. The nice thing about this watering timer here is you don't have to hook it up directly to the water. You can just run it into a bucket, and then you just fill up that bucket when it needs to be filled up, so you don't have to have the irrigation lines running to it. So it's really nice that it's versatile like that. You can see there how dirty the water gets. A lot of debris and stuff blows in here, so it's really nice that it has that filter down in there to keep the lines from getting clogged up. So yeah, this thing's pretty nice. All right, let me go ahead and show you everything that comes in the box here and how I set this thing up. All right, here's everything that you get in the box. Here's the timer and the pump right here. You just hit the power button to turn it on there. And then once you have it on, you can go through your arrows to adjust everything. You can also just hit the OK. If you hold that down, it turns the pump on. And so we got the air down here being pumped in and out. Got it turned off here. It's got a battery pack on the back. It takes 4 AA batteries. It's also got a USB-C plug on the side there. So you could plug this into a power supply. If you have an outlet nearby, you can just plug it in and use it as a pump that way. Comes with your irrigation line right here. And all your little irrigation heads here. These can be adjusted to determine how much water you want to have dripping out of there. This is the anti-siphon device right here. This keeps water from being sucked back into the pump. These are the little splitters right here. You got the 3-way splitters there. You got the instructions here that shows you each of the little parts here and how to put them all together. And you also got the little stakes right here to hold them in place. And then some little clips right here as well with some stickies on there so that can hold them in place that way too. This right here is the filter. So you could put this, the nice thing about this pump right here is you can put this in a bucket and then you can siphon the water out of the bucket, and this will help filter it out so in case any debris gets in your bucket there. All right, let's go back outside and I'll show you how I set this pump up here, and I'll show you how I ran the irrigation line. And then I'll show you where to put this little anti-siphon line right here. So I got the pump up here, and then I got the hose run down here, and now I got it into the bucket of water here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here. This is the filter right here. And then this will keep any sediment or anything that's in this bucket of water here from getting up into the pump. So I'm just gonna drop this down here to the bottom of the bucket. And there it is down there. On the bottom of the pump here, there's an in and an out. So I got the water from the bucket going into the in, and then I'll take another hose and I'll put it in here to go to the plants. And then I just got a post back here behind the bucket with a little nail on it, and then I'm just hooking it to that little hole right there. Just goes right in there to hold it in place. So you can see what my setup looks like there. I just pushed this plant out of the way here so that I could get this all set up, and then once I get this set up, I'll bring the plants back in, and I'm gonna plant some tomatoes here. I got the tomato cages up, tomato cage up here, and I got my little flower bed over here. So I'll put a little more flowers in here. My old irrigation system's not working, so it's nice to have this new one here where I can just go with this bucket right here to get everything irrigated. All right, now I'm gonna put another irrigation line in here, and then I'm gonna connect the backflow valve to it. So here's the backflow preventer right here. This keeps the water from coming back and going into the pump there. So if you have some sediment on the bottom of the bucket, it'll keep it from getting back into the pump and clogging it up. So I'm just gonna put one in here like this. And this one will go into the pump. And then we'll connect another line here, and this will go to the plants. And then I'm just putting this one in down here to where it says out. All right, so I got this one that says in going into the bucket, and this one that says out. This will go to the plants, and then this will keep water from siphoning back into the pump here. All right, I got this set up here to see what it looks like. It's probably gonna be a little higher because I'm gonna put some more dirt in here, but I got this one in here, and then I got the little drip nozzle on the end there, and I got it in the stake there. And then this one here, I put on this direction, and then I'm gonna run the hose from here over to the next pot over there. and then eventually over to the flower bed. And they say put the highest one first and the lowest one second. So we got the highest one there, and then these next two are a little bit lower here. And then I got the little backflow valve right here to prevent water from going back up into the pump. And then with this little splitter here, it goes in two directions. One in here to the flower pot here, actually it's going to be a tomato pot. One into this pot here, and then the other one in here that'll go to the next pot. I'm going to have another tomato pot right over there, and then it'll end in the flower bed over there. But I think this will probably be good right here. You can just cut this with a pair of scissors here. It cuts really easy. The line cuts really nice. And then I'm just putting one of the little drip heads right here on the end of it. And then it just clips right in here into the stake there. And now it'll be aiming right down to wherever we decide to put the plant there. The nice thing about these drip heads is it's got the barb there that'll go into the irrigation line. And then this is adjustable there, so you can determine how much water you want to drip out of here. You can close it completely if you want, or you can just open it a little bit, or you can open it all the way. So these drip heads look pretty nice. And they got the little logo on there. All right, now we're just going to go ahead and do the little flower bed right here. So you can see here, I got 3 in the little flower bed here. Those flowers got a lot of water already, so they're doing really good. But these others here, they definitely need some water. And then I got some room to put another couple flowers in here too. And then I got one going over here to the tomato. And then I'm going to do another tomato over here. See, I got the tomato cages up there for the tomatoes. All right, let's go ahead and turn it on here and see how it does. Just going to hit the power button here. Okay, it looks like it's starting to drip here. One of the issues I had is this second irrigation line that comes here. It was going down. It might be a little too low. I might need to shorten it so that it's up a little higher, because they say if it's too low, then there's not enough pressure to pump it to the irrigation here, because I'm not getting anything here on the end. I had to make some adjustments to my irrigation lines here, but before, see how these are right up here? That one goes down a little bit lower. That's the first one, and that's fine. But for the second pot here, I had it up even with the pot here. So you can see these go along even to the same second layer right here. So your first layer can be a little higher, and then your second layer needs to be a little bit lower in order for it to get it to work. That way the pump will pump all the water down to the end. All right, let me go ahead and turn it on, and I'll show you how it works here. I'm just going to long press the OK to get the pump started. Okay, we got the pump on there. And you can see I got some water dripping right here. And I got water dripping here. I got water dripping down here, over here, and then all the way down at the end. So now I got everything going here, and the whole thing can get watered. We even got so much water that there's a little bit coming out of the bottom here. So yeah, I might need to make a little adjustments and get this a little more towards the center. Might need to shorten this one here. Maybe the same with this one here. Maybe get it going into the middle, because I think if it goes to the edge, the soil's not as compact and it kind of leaks out of the bottom there. I could also put a base down at the bottom of this too. That's what I did on these pots. I put a base there with some bricks, so any water will just sit down there at the bottom. But we got it working there. So it just takes the water, pumps it out of this bucket right here, and then it comes up in here into the 2 pots right here. And then you can adjust how much water you got coming in by just adjusting these little ends right here on the end of the drip system. I got it all set up here. So we got our tomato plants in here. You can see there's some little cherry tomatoes on there. There's a little red one right there. We got the tomato cage, and then there's the irrigation. There's the sprinkler head right down there inside the tomato there. Right down there inside the middle of it. And we got the water dripping over here. Looks like I might need to shorten this one. It's just dripping right here. It's watering the little stake there. I should put it back there in those flower beds, or move it over there. This one's perfect right there. You can see it dripping down there in the flowers there. Got a bunch of little tomatoes over here. All right, so there you go. There's the ZEEGO watering system. So yeah, this thing's pretty nice.